quorum. For the record, I'm going to open the meeting. Today this was a regular meeting of the Board of Finance. Today is Tuesday, August 18, 2020. We are in the City Hall auditorium. Present in person here at the auditorium is board member Chris Bass. Participating via Zoom is board member Jim Wright, board member Vance Boynton, and board member Mark Bushka. Chris Anderson and Marie Pesky will not be able to participate this evening. So before we begin the meeting, could you please stand, Legislator Ryan?
Flag of the United States of America, to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. For those members that are participating via Zoom in the auditorium here, we also have from the Board of Education, Superintendent Blavatsky, Business Director Ed Aram, Board Chair Leon Capabianca, and Vice Chair Jackie Smith. And Alice Cruz is here too. So we'll jump right in. Item number 1 on the agenda, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the regular meeting held July 21st, 2020.
So
Thank you, Commissioner Bass, or Assistant Board Member Bass. Great, Commissioner. Do I have a second? From the Zoom.
looking for a second in the Zoom.
second.
Okay, Mr. Wright. I have a motion and a second. Other questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And
Abstain.
one abstention, and that would be from Mr. Bushka. Item 2 on the agenda, I'll entertain a motion to accept the Board of Education financial reports.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bass and a second from Mr. Wright. Are there questions on the financial reports? All right, so before I move off this, because it isn't on here as a agenda item from the floor, Sue, do you want to sit on the table?
Yeah, that might be easier.
Yeah,
You wanna do
I'm just thinking you're closer to the camera where there's a microphone.
on other side?
No.
I can't. This side?
Either side.
Oh, either side. Okay,
And
cool.
if you want to sit at separate tables.
No, we're the same cohort.
Yeah. So, what the superintendent and Mr. Aaron are here to present is, or to just discuss, is an update and a projection of what the reopening of the schools is going to look like and what the potential costs are. And I'm just going to set the stage for them a little bit. What we know is this is moving targets. I think they're just trying to figure out how many angels dance on head of can. And I think they've done a pretty good job. So I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. So in your packet, you'll see 2 different COVID expenses. So if you go to page 2 first, that was the original plan. That was the in-person, which districts were mandated to present in terms of phase 1, and that was in our plan. And with all of those expenses that we would need for an in-person plan, it would come to the $2,706,992. And as you can see, the biggest expense would be our staff, very significant in terms of making sure that we have bus monitors on our buses, that we have custodians or sanitizers in order to disinfect and keep our buildings clean. 2 additional nurses during this year we feel are very important. We have 2 new nurses at every other school except for Southwest and Forbes, and we really feel like having to really man the isolation rooms to make sure that we are monitoring students and staff who are showing symptoms. We need 2 nurses at every site so we can address those needs right away. So those are where the nurses would be located. And then you see a lot of our supplies in terms of PPE, as you might imagine. Masks, N95 masks for our nurses, clear masks for those students and those staff who have hearing impairments or who are English as a second language, and they need to be able to see lips or have not only hearing but speech impairments. So it makes it a lot easier to see the lips and to communicate. Gowns, once again, for our nurses, that's very important. Also, gowns for some of our paraprofessionals and our teachers who are working with our youngest students who have intense needs and really need to make sure that they are protected. Disinfectant wipes, paper towels. I had mentioned before that we can't use the air blow dryers anymore in any of our bathrooms because it spreads the virus. So we have to make sure that we have paper towel dispensers and obviously paper towels. Pump sanitizer is essential. Our secondary classrooms do not have sinks in them. So we need to make sure that we are offering pump sanitizer in each one of our classrooms. Face shields, which will really help protect those staff who need that extra protection in addition to the mask. Having that face shield will be very important. Some of our teachers, if they are behind the plexiglass, are choosing to also use the face shields rather than the mask, which under the guidelines they can do. So that gives them some options. We did ask staff what they would prefer, and they were able to give that to their administrators so that they feel comfortable as they're coming back. Hand soap, obviously washing your hands is essential. Hand sanitizer, extra trash cans that are touchless, and latex gloves. We do have non-latex gloves as well. These are just gloves. I think it's important to
should change it.
Yes, exactly. Just so that people know we have both. And water bottle filling stations. We cannot use the water fountain, so it's going to be very important that we have these filling stations. And they're touchless, so they just put the water bottle underneath and then they can fill their water bottles. That will be very, very important. Building signage for each one of our buildings, obviously directional signals. For our secondary students, please stop here, social distancing, as students are waiting to get into classrooms and such. Moving and storage, really, we had to clear out all of our classrooms, so that was really essential to make sure that we had places for all of these items. We had to move some of these things out. Plexiglass shields. Every single teacher has a plexiglass shield for their classroom so that they can be distanced from their students, but they still can be seen. Cafeteria table dividers, at that point, we were just purchasing them for the secondary at the high school level in order to have something that divided our students and was within the mandate of the 6 feet and making sure that we had enough supervision because otherwise we were running out of bodies. Additional staff, 10 teachers and 4 techs. That was our estimate in July based on in-person. So as you start to stretch those classes, you have smaller class sizes, you need to have more teachers. And certainly techs, this whole world is all about technology right now. Just being able to have that on-hand support is so truly essential. And social emotional learning resources, in particular for our secondary. We have a lot of that for our elementary students, but we really felt like we needed supplemental materials for our secondary. And then supplemental sped transportation. We need to make sure that we have that funding available to us as students may be outplaced or may need during the course of the year special ed services and support in terms of transportation, depending on placements. And then a lot of the technology really is helping us increase our bandwidth, making sure that we can deliver what we need to in terms of Google Classroom, headsets with microphones, really important, especially for English as a second language students, as well as some of our speech students. Software to communicate or pick up with our parents because we want, as much as we want to build those relationships, we want that contactless so that parents can just say, I'm here, text, and then a staff member can bring the student out socially distanced to each car. And then portable smart boards, because with the in-person, it became very essential to make sure that we were using areas such as gyms and cafeterias and any available space, but we didn't have smart boards in those locales. And so then for in-person learning, we would have to make sure that we had the portable smart boards. So once we got to July, I believe it was 27th, that Monday, right after the 24th, right after we had submitted our plans, the governor decided that he would offer flexibility to districts so that you really could go into a different phase. You did not have to start with in-person, even though you may have had the physical space and you could have figured out all across your whole entire building that you could make it work. Operationally, it really makes so much more sense to start with our hybrid, which is what we chose, which is 50% of our students coming each day. So basically, we have students in two different cohorts, cohort A or cohort B. Cohort A is A through L, and then cohort B is M through C, and that's Thursday and Friday. And then students are not allowed at school on Wednesday because we are doing a deep cleaning and disinfecting on that particular day. They will still be taught during the day at home. It will be distance learning during that time period. So they will have a full week of instruction. However, the hybrid allows us to really acclimate to this new setting, getting through the hallways, working out cohorts, working out, learning from behind plexiglass and wearing a mask and getting through the day. So once the governor allowed us to move toward this next step, which is the hybrid, which we are doing from September 8th until October 2nd, our numbers changed. So many of the categories stayed the same. However, some of our numbers went down. So you can still see the monitors and the custodians and sanitizers, the additional nurses. If you look a little lower, you'll see that we're down now to 2 teachers that we're hiring. But we are adding 2 more techs simply because we want to ensure that we have at least 1 tech at each building. At our secondaries, we really feel like we need 2 techs. This is a major leap for our teachers. And if they can't use the technology when they're sitting in front of a classroom full of students, that's worst case scenario, they're going to need that support. So you can see how the staffing works. I'm going to have Ed talk a little bit about the PPE because I think he's done a great job in terms of really trying to be very prudent in terms of how he is purchasing and the schedule on which he is purchasing.
As you can see, the monitors have gone down because we're only 177 days now, not 181, so that goes down. With the custodians, we went after, we interviewed 4 companies. We're down to 2 negotiating. So that's why it's gone down. The price has gone down. We have an MOU with the custodians. We ask them that if they mandatory, we have to have mandatory overtime. They say, no, you can't have somebody come in on Monday, then Tuesday they don't work. So we ask them for mandatory overtime. And that's going to be an MOU, which is fine. It's down to 2 nurses, a organization. And then if you can see down on the right-hand side, the last H column, is the POs that we've sent out or been paid for. So as of the 17th, we've either paid or POs are outstanding for $230,255. As you can see, some of the masks we're only ordering every 3 months because we don't know what's going to happen. Also, I've got to tell you, on the 2 companies, let's say that companies work for 2 weeks and then we go to a full distance learning, the contract is gone, it's finished. So it's not that we have to give them an extra 2 weeks or 4 weeks. It's in the contract that it's finished. We also have to put musical instrument covers over the instruments and so forth. Building signage, we dropped it to 500. We're doing most of the signage ourselves. We put a new thing in there, the tents for the high school and middle school, which will be, one of the tents, two of the tents will be outside of the cafeteria at the high school, and the other tent will be as you walk in, when you went in for election, that area, there'll be a tent there, 40 by 60 tent there. Just so the kids can go out and sit there, take off their mask for a little while, you know, at least have a little
Mask break.
a mask break, right? We have the plexiglass shields that are going to all the teachers. The next one, the calf divider, is 108, divided between the middle school and the high school. Those are on the long tables, 72 inches. They'll be in the middle of the tables. The other ones are going to the elementary schools, and most
Can't hear.
Lost the sound.
Yeah, the audio just kicked out, right?
Yes. I think that screen is frozen too.
Well, I could see and hear you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfectly. The city hall looks like it was frozen. Oh, now they're gone.
Now it went up, maybe.
We're good.
Yeah. So they're talking about the 2.7 million was when they were going to do 100% in class, right? And now they're getting to the cost for this hybrid model.
I think it was going to be less, wasn't it? Sounded like.
Yeah, they started with the 2.7 million, and now I don't know why they just didn't start with the hybrid model and what they're actually going to spend.
Wonder if they can hear us.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, now that whatever the dollar amount is.
Can
That's
you
cool.
guys, can you guys sign back in? Why do we have to sign back in? Want us to sign back in?
all right. See you guys in a minute.
Yeah.
think I'm back.
Looks like I'm back as well.
Yeah, we're all back. There's Jonathan.
Yeah, we lost connection on the big monitor, so we're working out a solution here, Jim and Lance. So yeah, it's stuff on the agenda. If I mean, Mayor, if you want, you can join in on your phone and just leave it muted.
I can do that. Can you put yours up to the microphone? So that,
Yeah.
person that-
We'll try to.
So you have to put yourself in the microphone.
Okay.
I'm sorry about this. Somebody- I'm for the same. I know. I agree.
I don't think I have that. I'm not too sure how it is. Yeah, they usually could for. I don't. Yeah. We can.
So unless you have a USB,
Yeah, no, we don't
no, I don't have a hotspot. I have them on. That's wireless. Just connect to optical Wi-Fi.
Huh?
If that's wireless, just connect to optical Wi-Fi. That's what I thought. Yeah. I have optical Wi-Fi. It's fine. That's what I got.
We can see Jonathan.
Yeah, we're trying to work it out so that you can hear what's going on. Yeah, it's still showing the Wi-Fi signal down there. It's not going.
Should go away.
Oh, there we go. All right, good. Let's give it a try. Thank you.
Yeah.
Where's one of these IT techs that you're hiring?
I know, really, get it over here. Just doing that while you were speaking, because our email has been down all day. I know that the other board members have not had a chance to receive this. So I did. So, can you guys? Oh, was I muted?
Yeah.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
I know, yeah.
Thank you, Jim. And Lance, you're muted. Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
So, I was just sharing with Sue that the document with her numbers that she was reading from, our email was down all day. This wasn't something I was going to be able to get out to you, but I did try to take a picture of it and text it to you guys. It's something I think is just informational. I don't think there's really anything, and it's not cast in stone. This is something that is moving. I just know that the board kept asking, what do we think it's going to take to reopen the schools? What are those costs going to be? You know, have they been identified? And I have to give not only credit, but I have to extend gratitude, because this is a tremendous amount of work and very well explained as to what those costs are. Everything from the staff increases to the PPE that's required, to how you clean that building, who's going to clean that building, how we're going to protect the kids on the buses. And as I said to the council, the city council last night, this is one of those situations where we're not in a position to question these numbers or the cost of reopening the school. We have to reopen our schools, and we have to get these kids back into school. And I think you've done a tremendous job in at least giving us a roadmap as to how that is going to happen and what it potentially will cost. What we also know is we're very fortunate over the last several years that we have worked very hard, this board in particular worked very hard at building up our fund balance to a comfortable level where we know that if it does actually end up costing us $2 million or $2.7 million to reopen our schools, we're going to be okay with that. We have fund balance. Our goal, of course, is to seek every penny back by way of reimbursement from whatever resources are available to us for reimbursement. And as an alliance district, I know there will be resources. When we talk about the technology pieces, I know the governor has made that a priority. So our goal, of course, is to recoup or recover any of the expenses that we're expending. But I can say with a level of confidence that we're okay. And the safety of the students and the school staff are our first priority. So I can't imagine that anybody on this board would question or could question what these costs are. So more than anything else, thank you very much. I know this has been an exercise in futility, and you think you have the answers and you get a different question.
Yeah.
So,
But I just want to thank you in working with us as a partner, because as you say, it's been a little crazy and a little chaotic. And certainly we will keep meeting with you and sharing with you the information as we know it. It does change day to day, but it's nice to know that we have that in place should we need it. But we are hopeful that the governor will be offering us even more funds. The commissioner alluded that today. We are supposed to get more information tomorrow. So as we get more specifics, we'll pass that on.
absolutely. No, it's the best we can do under these circumstances. And as far as what reopening looks like, I also have to applaud the board for making the decisions that you did. I realize the state sort of leaves you in a lurch, trying to figure out what's right, what do the parents want, what do the students need, because really your job is not even so much to determine what do people want, it's what do we need to do, what is the right thing to do. And I know that hasn't been easy, but I again support every decision the board has made to date on what you need to do to reopen. And I don't know if any of the Board of Finance members have any comments to that. Mark.
Yeah, I'd like to just echo what you said. Great job by the Board of Ed. And as far as reimbursement at this point, we really have absolutely no idea. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, I mean, we keep hearing that the governor has committed additional resources for schools. However, How that is allocated is yet to be seen.
Right.
We have every confidence that there will be an allocation that comes to every municipality. We don't know how much that's going to be. You know, he can establish a $16 billion line item or $16 million line item. We just don't know how he's going to break that up. So we're prepared, and we've established a COVID line item. This is something that we talked about back in March and April. And it is all these POs that you put in, Ed, for the expenses that you purchased today, those all that we put in our COVID line, right? Yeah. So we'll continue to do that. We'll continue to report all of these expenses to that line item. And that way it's very easy for you as a board, for the Board of Education, and for Alice to be able to identify what those expenses are, so that we can file the appropriate forms to get reimbursement when we have that information. Other questions or comments from the board?
Yeah, I was just going to reiterate the fact that we've got that COVID line item. You know, I appreciate the fact that the Board of Ed went through and did this. I know it's a lot of work, but getting that into that line item now, when it does come time that we can go back to the state, it's all wrapped up in a pretty bow, and we can get that number in pretty quick before funding runs out, as it probably will. I'd like just to be at the front of that line, so having that information ready to go is going to be very, very helpful.
Yeah, well said. I appreciate that. So the other documents that you prepared, these were in response to the request from a meeting.
Yeah, that was just, we weren't sure what else you needed to reference or what you might have given your technology situation. So we just wanted to make sure that you had those in paper form, since we were here anyway.
We had this first original page with 2.7 million. It was on like page 38 of that document that got sent last month.
Yes.
Just in case anybody at home needs to see, wants to see what we're looking at here. It is included in that, I think it's like a 40 or 50 page PDF that was sent to us last month. So we have some idea of what they have some idea what it was.
And the Board of Ed has all these documents up on your web pages also, right? Part of your minutes?
Part of the minutes, all of these documents, and then these documents, that'll be a part of our meeting tomorrow night as well.
Yeah. And like I said, I know that it's a moving target, we're doing the best that we can. I especially appreciate that you're attacking this with 30-day, 2-week intervals, 30-day intervals, 3-month intervals, because as I've heard a lot said over the last 2 weeks, we're really vaccine dependent.
Right.
Until we know there's a vaccine, until we know that there's no risk to the kids, these are expenses that we must anticipate. So,
and I really have to applaud Ed for doing this in increments and working with the vendors and really getting us the prices that we did, because he's been tireless and doggedly working with those companies to get us the best deals.
So just to further inform the board members, of course, when you're looking at these additional staff members, credit going back to the board in recognizing that setting this up as contractual or subcontractors alleviates the concern about rehire, and then when we no longer need them, are we on the hook for the unemployment compensation piece? So being able to approach this through that vehicle was another very important thing to recognize and work towards. So, thank you. And I apologize for the technical difficulties.
Oh, no. No worries.
All right.
Good luck with the rest of your meeting.
Thank you.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so there was a motion, and mostly this is when we accept the financial reports, which were in here. So I will call that motion if there are no other questions on the financial reports outside of the update on the reopening of schools. I'll call the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, item 3. on the agenda is, I will entertain a motion to authorize the refunded taxes paid by Kids Play Museum in accordance with Corporation Council's memorandum dated July 22nd, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I heard a motion by Mr. Wright. I heard a second by Mr. Bushka. And are there questions? I know that Corporation Counsel, Vic Michelle is here if you have questions.
I think it's, if we're legally obligated to refund them, then that's what we have to do.
Yeah, as an not-for-profit.
Yeah, as a 501c3, that's what they're entitled to by our charter, so.
All right. If there are no questions, I'll call the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This motion carries. Thank you. Item 4, I'll entertain a motion to authorize the transfers to the OPEB funds listed on Comptroller's memo dated August 11, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Reyes, seconded by Mr. Wright. Are there questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, I'm looking for a motion to authorize the budget modifications for fiscal year 2020, 2021, listed on Comptroller's memo dated August 11, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
And Mr. Bushka. Are there questions on these budgets?
Yeah, I just want to clarify, we still need to come up with 184,000.
Yes. Yes.
Is that right?
So I'll go into a little bit of that for you. So what we know is with all of the cancellation of, especially our recreation programs, what we're looking at is where are we in relation to the costs that were budgeted in anticipation of those expenses for this year, and the overtime expenses for some of the park maintenance, particularly the pool maintenance. So we wanted to do one more dive into that budget to see if there were additional costs that we could account for. And if not, then we can certainly in the next meeting or two come back with how we'll cover that last 185,000. Other questions?
The CCM dues reduction, is that just a reduction in the cost of their fees going down, or is that us withdrawing from this?
No. So CCM recognizing that all the municipalities were facing the same budget dilemmas, did reduce their fees. They offered a couple of options as to how we would budget for their fees. And this supported us an opportunity to that reduction. What we know is next year it will go back up, so we're going to have to restore that number next year. But it was to consistent with this.
I'm guessing 132,000 for the PD was the deputy chief position, or was it officer position?
So what we worked out with Chief Baldwin is that these would be 4 positions. Or is it 5 positions? Yeah. 5. So this is 5 positions that instead of budgeting for them for the entire year, we would budget for them at the half year. So, and the reason we did that is he has 7 vacancies at his department right now. But with the COVID response, they weren't doing their classes. So the academy didn't have seats available. They have since reopened their academy seats, but right now in September, there's only 1 potential seat that we could take. So we did feel safe that if we budgeted those positions at the half year, there would be an opportunity then at the end of December to take some of the academy seats so we can interview, get them ready to fill those academy seats, and then the position wouldn't be filled until January anyways.
Okay. So we're not eliminating any.
No, this is 5 half-year position.
Yeah, I recognize that obviously the pandemic has pushed the academy and recruiting and everything else. So I just wanted to make sure, especially now that we're not eliminating any police officers.
Leanne. Questions? All right, if there are no further questions, I'll call this motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, and thank you, Alice. She really has sharpened her pencil on every single one of those line items. We'll keep that for that, 185,000. All right, item number 6 says a discussion regarding the 2019-2020 bonded project reports. It really isn't so much a discussion as just a acceptance of the reports. The reason we wanted to put this on your agenda is, I mean, obviously, we've never done this kind of bonding in the past. We wanted to make sure that the Board of Finance was aware of what was being bonded and how the bond funds were being expended. But also, this is our paper trail, so that when we go out for bonding again, we have to go before filing our official statement or for the interview process, that we have a paper trail that you have in fact looked at these and then provided information. Are there, so the motion I would be calling is a motion to accept the 2019-2020 bonded project report.
So moved.
I'll move.
Mr. Banks and Mr. White. Questions on the report?
Just quick, this is year-to-date expended?
This
Or
is
five.
6/30/2020. Yes.
Yeah.
For the
But-
2019-2020 year.
For the two different bonds, there's a 2019 project projects.
Can you hear Alex?
No.
No.
All right, I'll translate what her mumbled mess is. She said these are two reports. There's the 2019 year and the 2020 year. Yeah. So not year to date, but through June 30th.
Okay. What was I going to ask? What street projects do we have the remainder of this summer scheduled?
So I can send you an update from Public Works and what street projects that we are working on. He does issue a weekly report. And the projects that he is working on are those neighborhood projects. And he's trying to scatter them east end, west end. So I'll send you the report on exactly what pavement areas he's working on. And this bond, the current bond offering that we just sold in April, that's covering the 2021 year. So what will be expended from July 1 of 2020, the current, where we are right now, through June 30th of 2021. Yeah, overlap, because those bonds are being sold in April. We are hitting our mark on those roads. We've been fortunate that we've twice now gone out to bid and received very favorable bids on the road projects. So we feel like we are hitting the mark on what we hope to accomplish in these in this pavement management program. Other questions? All right, there are no questions. I'll call the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 7, I will entertain a motion to consider business by department heads.
So
Move.
Second.
And seconded by Mr. Bushman. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So we're limited with department heads. Alice, is there anything you want to add?
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Anything to do? And city clerk? Thank you. Then item 8, I'll entertain a motion to consider business by the mayor and members of the board of finance.
So moved.
Mr. Banks.
Second.
And for Whiten, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. To the screen, anything you want to add tonight, Mr. Bushman?
Nothing this evening.
Mr. Boynton?
Just was wondering what the financial impact of the recent hurricane was. You know, how the town handled that from a overtime financial standpoint.
So ripping a page from our pandemic playbook, we established a ECES line item, storm line item. I think we're still pulling all those numbers together. At the next board meeting, we can present those numbers to you. For the most part, it was primarily overtime. There weren't that many expenditures for the storm response other than the overtime. I'll make sure that report is sent to us.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Wright.
Good.
Okay. If there's no further business before the board, I'll entertain a motion for adjourn.
So moved.
Mr. Wright, all in favor?
Hi.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you all for your patience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, good night, everybody.
Thank you.